Christy.
This is the Washing Up Podcast.
And we're doing the Great Canadian Baking Show tonight.
Great Canadian Bake Off. I refuse. Still refuse.
I'm just trying to be kind to our Canadian listeners so they don't get confused. Not that I think they're idiots, because they're not.
No, they're not. I mean,
they're wonderful people.
Well, you know what though? By calling it the correct name, you know what you're doing?
What?
Kicking it old school.
Oh yeah, keeping it old school.
We're cool.
East Side.
We're Said. We're here. We're hip. We're happening.
Gritty.
We're with it.
Yeah.
We were with it.
Far out.
And then they changed what it was. Now what is it seems scary and confusing. Anyway,
I don't know what it is anymore.
Really pleased to be back. It was a really good episode tonight.
Loved it.
There's especially one moment. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see it. We put a video up. It was the tail end of our reaction to something we're going to talk about in great detail in this episode. Yeah, it was brilliant. We really enjoyed this episode.
Yes, old school. We need to bring it back more often. And next time, I really want to do Jasmine's idea of what old school is. Jello
2006.
2006 and Jello molds. So both.
I've never made a Jello salad.
What were you doing in 2006?
What was I doing in 2006? Teaching degree.
Oh, I was in the midst of a deep depression. There we go. Kicking it
Wonderful.
old school.
Kicking it old school.
Keeping it bright and happy. Those halcyon days.
Remember the days of the old depression yard. We used to mope a lot.
It really affected my memory. I honestly can't. I know I was 26.
At least you know something.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on with it because we started with a David Attenborough.
Oh, we did.
Which was really cool. I did like that, you know.
Imagine if Aurora just continued on, like, hosting.
She should have done the whole episode that way.
As David Attenborough. Here we are inside the pavilion, the natural habitat of the bakers.
Well, I mean, we've had David Attenborough before, if you remember, doing our ad reads.
Yes, we have.
We draw all the big guns in.
We do. They're knocking down our door.
I mean, the last couple of nights, for example, where we've done our ad read
Go away, Kate Blanchett. We've got someone else tonight. So more specialer than you.
Well, just to give you all an idea on this, we've had some big name celebrities come in when we do.
No, Meryl Streep, leave. We do not need you tonight.
We will have later on, obviously, we'll go through, and obviously I believe there's another guest. But,
yes.
But when we do our ad reads for Australian Sugarcraft magazine, we've had the last two. We've had Ling Ling the Panda, which was a great get.
Yeah.
And then for people who listen to our episode of Australian, if you haven't, please go. Yeah, Guy Ritchie.
Doing an Irish accent. Craziness.
God,
he's hilarious.
As I said, just like Madonna. Madonna doesn't know where her accent's from, and neither did he. No. So that's why they were married for so little time. Anyway, moving on. So we got everyone in, and Colin I was really intrigued by Colin's introduction, which was that the other bakers are now addressing me as Star Baker.
It must be like a Canadian thing, like just deference. They're very high. They're more into the Commonwealth than we are.
I thought it was more like the Masons.
Ranking. Oh.
I thought it was more like the Masons. Star Baker. And there's lots of hopping on one leg while shaking hands backwards.
And they do wear aprons, like the Masons. Here we are.
This is really possible now. The idea of Star Baker, but I like the idea that it's not like
it's the Masonic Pavilion.
Yeah, they're not like saying, "Hey, Colin, well done on Star Baker." I like the idea of like they walk past him like just out in the street and they nod. Star Baker.
Star Baker.
Yes, Star Baker. Star Baker. Star Baker. Star Baker. It's just I love that idea of that reverence towards the Star Baker.
Yeah, it's just
they should be carried in on a throne.
Just like one of those like I keep thinking back to remember Girls Just Want to Have Fun with Sarah Jessica Parker, and at the end
No, I don't, but go on.
Okay. And have you never watched Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
No.
Oh my God, Chris, where were you in the 80s? Okay, so Girls Just Want to Have Fun, we're doing that. But anyway, it's an MTV special, and her friend comes out at the end, with not pallbearers, what are they? When they've got the sedan chair.
Yes.
And she's there laying on the sedan chair, looking like a Madonna-y goddess.
See, I just prefer the video clip to Girls Just Want to Have Fun because, Captain Leo Banno's in it and, wrestling manager superstar.
Yeah, that's great. So is Cyndi Lauper.
I know, who was part of the Rock and Wrestling Connection, which is how,
Really?
Anyway, yeah. Cyndi Lauper was around wrestling very early on. Like, it was part of the MTV specials, the World Wrestling Federation at the time, and MTV paired together.
Oh my
and when
God.
they did Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling cartoon show, which was amazing, Cyndi Lauper was around all that too. It was great. It was
my God.
brilliant. They had her lead out the women's champion, Wendy Richter.
Really?
Yes, she did, at WrestleMania 1.
See, maybe I need to watch that, and then you need to watch Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
No, anyway, we also need to explain to our Canadian friends something very important, and it's more for your own well-being when you come to Australia. There are differences, and we've talked about this before. There are differences in what we refer to,
Like
to bits of like the body. There are all
What
sorts
you
of
might call a
references.
sidewalk, we call a footpath.
Yeah,
what
there's lounge and couch.
Yeah.
And far more importantly, a fanny. Now, a fanny pack is obviously what we call in Australia a bum bag, right? Because fanny in North America obviously means bum. We follow, and again, our Canadian brethren should probably understand this, being a Commonwealth country, because we follow the more British definition of fanny, which is the other side of the female body, not the bum.
Not the bum. It's
Not
the
bum.
It's the front
It's the
bum.
front bum. It's the
Yeah,
front bottom.
the front bum.
Yes, it's the front bottom.
Yeah.
So not the bum, not the bum bottom. It's the front bottom.
Yes.
Yep. So very important distinction there.
The lemonade side.
If you, oh god. So when you come to Australia, and you will all come to Australia, because it's a wonderful place to be.
And when we win the lottery, we'll be flying you all out.
Or when we get our money from like the Saskatoon Berry Association of Australia.
Yeah.
But more importantly than any of that, when you come out here, enjoy our sights, enjoy the sounds, try not to get killed by any local animals, and far more
Hey,
important.
look, our bees are stingless.
And far more important,
just the natives one, not the introduced European ones.
and far more importantly than any of that, be very careful when you say the word fanny, because you could end up with something more than you bargained for. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the signature for old school.
Yeah, let's kick it to the coffee cake.
I'm trying to work out how old school I think coffee cake is.
Oh, coffee cake is the oldest school. You know how I know?
How do you know? This would be good.
Okay, because if you go to the cafes, remember the cafes that were in department stores? So what kind of cake would they always be serving? A coffee cake.
Yeah, you're right. There is a coffee cake everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. Well, the other one was tea cake that was everywhere. So tea and coffee cake. Like literally tea or coffee cake.
Yeah.
See, I'm more disappointed in the fact that the coffee cake doesn't actually contain coffee.
Doesn't it?
No, it's to be served with coffee.
What?
I didn't see coffee in any of the recipes.
Oh my god.
Did you not work that out?
Mind blown.
But what we did open up with Liam, just pouring a bottle. just emptying a bottle. Now, I don't know if that was part of the baking or if that was just
Was drinking?
Liam, like just setting up maybe like a big tray of drink.
Maybe he was preparing a drink for his friend Grace.
We'll get to Grace. We'll get to Grace later. And I do need to address the elephant in the room. Now, we talk a lot about...
The caribou.
Not the caribou in the room, the elephant.
Okay.
We talk a lot on Bake Off about all the versions, is that you never say, this is my week.
Oh, Kayla.
Now, not only did Kyla say this, so Kyla said this and Jay said this. Kyla said, this is your day in the kitchen to Jay. Jay, before that, had said, I am ready for this week.
Oh, but that's just skating. Like, it's not saying it explicitly, Jay, but it's skating too close.
It's too close.
Oh,
careful, Icarus. So if we cut back to Liam, who gives us a really good Liamism, which was, it's rustic. I can do that. I hope.
He totally can. Like, you know,
can
once
be rustic with the best of them.
he is so rustic, right? He's like at a perpetual bacchanalia. You know, he's just, you know, coming out in his fawn-like state.
You and Liam being a fawn. I still maintain
his Maynards, nymphs,
I still maintain that he's
his
big.
mermaid friends.
I still maintain that he walked in and said, I wish I was big.
Okay, you've got the big theory. I've got he's a fawn. I think I'm correct.
Oh, we'll find that out.
The final bake will show.
We'll find that out in a moment. So, the first cake we got, now, they all called them different things. Now, Colin going for the fact that it was a coffee cake and it was because... No, there must be coffee in it because he did say you can eat it because it's got breakfast because it's got coffee in it.
There you go.
My bad. Apologies, everyone. I can already hear the comments.
There is coffee in a coffee cake.
Anyway, just to give you an idea, we're recording this after 10 o'clock at night.
There's no tea in a tea cake. And it's Friday night here in Australia.
Exactly. So what's really important... Well, you yawned after that too.
Yeah.
What's really important for this was that Colin decided to call his cake Morning Glory.
What's the story? Morning Glory.
That's far nicer than you've ever been.
I was hoping that his showstopper would have been called Afternoon Delight. Unfortunately,
it would have
not.
worked. It wasn't. It should have been.
Yes,
it could have been.
And
you missed a trick there, Colin.
And he's technical. You know, he just gave it like a subtitle of Midday Threesome. That's how it goes.
I like that your morning and your afternoon was subtle, and your middle of the day was like a sledgehammer to the face.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't think of a alliteration to go with that. A lunchtime. See, there's no
orgy. There you go. So it was an almond fig streusel with a honey glaze on top of it. Jay's was a Memphis coffee cake, and it was really called a Memphis coffee cake. Because it was channeling Elvis.
It was bacon.
It was bacon and peanut butter.
Surprised there weren't some cheeseburgers just shoved in the middle of it.
There should have been. I mean, there was no jam.
No.
And there should have been, because peanut butter and jelly was apparently... Peanut butter jelly... And there was no banana. Because peanut butter jelly, banana, bacon sandwiches.
Were Elvis's
Elvis
thing?
loved those.
Ah.
I had no idea why he died on the toilet. Anyway...
Anyway,
Jay did also point out he's the only person who...
I would say it was probably the copious amounts of drugs he did.
Well, it was that too. It was that too. But Jay was the only person who actually remembered Elvis, as he pointed out many times. Like, I remember the 70s, man.
I'm sure Jody and others, probably not Liam, because I don't think they have rock and roll.
You know who
in the
didn't?
Woods. Who?
Jasmine. So, poor Jasmine. She considered 2006 old school. Now,
okay, what was going on in 2006?
Well, I'll tell you what was going on in 2006.
Yeah.
So we'll do 2006 year in review. Now, I want you don't look up any information.
Okay.
Don't look up any information. I'm going to quiz you on this.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay. So. Let's find it. 2006 year in review.
Now you have to remember, I've got no memory.
No memory of 2006. You've already told me this. I know this.
Oh no, I do. I remember Get This.
You remember Get This? Well done.
So the Hives were just released. There we go. I've got a point of reference. Okay, let's go.
So major events that took place in 2006.
Yeah.
Number 3 on this list that I'm looking at, Pluto.
I was told that wasn't a planet.
It was told it was no longer a planet.
I remember that. I was very pissed off.
The number 1 hyped movie of the year was Borat.
I saw that.
I didn't, deliberately. Can I point out, by the way, just that the quality of the list that I'm looking up is not very high. And the reason I say this is, of the top events of the year, Saddam Hussein is executed is number 6. Behind Borat.
Fuck! Hi, we caught the guy who basically fucked up a whole country.
Another one, by the way, the first woman with the first face transplant was spotted in public. How can you tell? It's not her face.
Have you had photos of the person whose face she took?
Google purchased YouTube.
Do you think she enjoys doing face off?
Google purchased YouTube. Google purchased YouTube for $1.6 billion. That investment has paid off handsomely.
I want to know the music. The music of 2006, because I'm thinking it's going to be very bad. All the Hives came out.
No. Okay, so the last thing we'll do quickly, and we are going back to the baking. I promise you.
We're taking a deep dive into 2006.
All right, so 2006, Jasmine's old school. I'm going to give you the Australian charts. I won't give you
the
Canadian ones.
I will.
No, I'll give you the Canadian ones too, but I'll start with the Australians. All right, so top 5 songs.
Yeah.
I'll give you the top 5 songs.
Okay.
All right. So number 5 was I Don't Feel Like Dancing by the Scissor Sisters.
Oh, I remember that song. I don't feel like dancing, no dancing.
Number 4, Sexy Back.
Oh, I remember that one too.
Justin Timberlake.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, Hips Don't Lie, Shakira.
Holy shit.
Number 2.
Are we sure this is 2006?
Yes. Number 2.
Yeah.
Flaunt It by TV Rock featuring Shawnee B. Go on and flaunt it. Which I want to give you. That's the only one that anyone knows from that song.
Yeah, okay.
And the number 1 song, end of year chart, 2006.
Yeah.
I Wish I Was a Punk Rocker with Flowers in My Hair by Sandy Tom. And the reason why that was number 1, by the way, was because it was that first time where somebody launched a single in their own house and then put it on MySpace and it went viral. And it was the first time that had happened. So it became a big news story around the world, as opposed to now, where that's how everyone releases their fucking songs. So those were the charts. 2006.
Holy shit.
That is Jasmine's old school.
I mean, they do seem old now, I won't lie. Like, 2006, I mean, that was, 13 years ago? They do seem a little dated. I thought some of those songs were a bit earlier, like the Scissor Sisters. I'm sure I heard that when I was at uni.
Okay, so the number 1 single in 2006, the longest number 1 single in Canada in 2006 was Do I Make You Proud by Taylor Hicks. Taylor Hicks was the guy who I don't think he won American Idol.
Taylor Swift?
I don't think he won American Idol. I think he was the runner-up. The only thing I've ever seen him in.
Shannon Knoll.
The only thing I've ever seen him in was he was in Stephen Colbert's version of Friday when Stephen Colbert did it.
Okay.
Yeah, sang Friday on Jimmy Fallon, I think it was.
Right.
Anyway, back to this, because Jasmine in 2006, talking about old school, made Peach and Raspberry.
Yeah.
Right, so she had fresh peach and raspberries with a peach coulis. Mm-hmm. We had Chris was making this, and he was loving this because it was the first cake he'd ever learned to make.
Oh, awesome.
As he said, it's going to be better than that one, hopefully. So his was chai spice.
Yum.
Poached pears and his own created spice mix. Now, Chris...
That sounds like a lovely breakfast, actually.
Chris might have taken last week's criticism to heart.
Why?
Well, last week, if you remember correctly, Bruno had told him off about using spices.
Oh.
And said to him, if you're going to use spice,
do it well.
You really need to use that spice.
Like, you can't just, bring out bloody scary spice, because she will come to the opening of an envelope. You need at least Sporty, just an appearance by Sporty or Emma Bunton.
Now, what then,
and we're good.
Chris then followed up, of course, by saying that he was prepared to, quote unquote, punch them with spice.
Ooh, that I guess would be ginger. She did get a bit.
That'd be sporty. I mean, boxing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either or.
Either or. Now, this is where at one point Liam was offered figs.
He's like, I feel all biblical. That is such a fawn thing to say. Like, when you've been hanging out with Dionysus and the nymphs and the Maenads and you're just dancing and partying all night in the woods, and then someone comes up with like this really like a fig, and he's like, oh my God, that's like the Jesus stories. I feel all biblical.
That's exactly what the nymphs say. Anyway, Natalia made her summer orchard cake, which was almond streusel with lemon glaze.
Very nice.
Jodie's was a strawberry rhubarb.
See, I did a Borat reference.
I did, well done. Strawberry rhubarb with an orange glaze on top of it. Now, I love the fact when they were talking about measurements, and she's talking about this was, I think it was her mother's mother, I think she said it was.
Yes.
And she said, I don't know when my family ever measured. They just sort of threw it all in and just sort of hoped. And they went, how do you go with that? She goes, oh, that's what I do. Just throw it all into there.
Well, she was saying that her mother's mother, I do apologise, Jodie, I did mean to get the actual term that you used.
Yeah.
She's like, she was very good at just throwing it all together and it would come together. Now I'm imagining her mother's mother, like, just going out and going, you know what, steering wheel, seats, like, roof, bam, it's a car. She's like, Jodie walks in, Mum, I just need a new dress for my formal for school or prom. And then her mum's like, just scissors, like material. Boom. Her mum,
let you believe it or not, bibbidi bobbidi boo.
Her mum's mum was also a fairy godmother.
Had to be.
Totally.
So Liam, now we actually cut to Liam baking something, which was good. So now Liam did something different. Everyone else made like either a round or a square sort of cake, and like sliced
he made the arch window.
Liam's was a pear-shaped coffee cake. He literally just poached the pears and put them into the middle of the cake, standing up on end in a long pan instead. And it was white chocolate streusel. the whole pair in there. And then they cut to Liam, and he was talking about, leaving it all in the oven. It's like, you can't rush perfection.
No.
And then what I really appreciated about Liam at this point was when they cut back to him, and he's standing in front of the oven, and he's patting the oven.
Yeah, he's using his fawn powers.
And he was easing the cake's fear of not being ready,
Aww.
which I really love. He's like, it's okay. Come out when you're ready. There's no pressure. It's all good. You're going to be fine.
Everyone needs a Liam in their life.
I'm like, Liam is literally easing the cake's concerns.
We're going to demolish you and eat you, and then you'll be turned into poo. But, until then, just take it easy. Cook well.
Yeah, bake well. And then we got Jodie, and Jodie pulls her cake out of the oven, and it's falling apart.
She's just jamming the rhubarb in.
Jams it, just loads it all up.
She's just let's just channel my mother's mother and just throw it all together. It'll come together, and it did.
It's holding it. It's gonna hold.
Oh my god! So Jodie's a fairy godmother.
Apparently, everyone's a fairy godmother.
Fawn and a fairy godmother.
And her grandmother is a fairy godmother. Apparently,
and then there was a mermaid. It's the mythical year, mythical pavilion.
Far more importantly than this, we also learned that Natalia's human. And she burnt her almonds. Literally, she had the moment that we all have on MasterChef. So on MasterChef Australia, one of our things on the drinking game is I just looked away for a second. Because whenever they do that, everything burns. Mm-hmm. And Natalia goes down to check her cake, and you just see this shot of the almonds burning on the stove.
Slowly blackening.
Oh, very black. And that was where we also got lines for as they're doing the rush at the end. Jodie's doing my drizzling could use some work. Couldn't all of our drizzling do with some work, Jodie? All of our drizzling could do with some
You'll
work.
never get drizzle perfection. It's a perpetual. It's really a Zen pursuit. It's like creating a mandala out of rice. It's just going to get sand really blown away in the wind.
Deep. Anyway, Liam, they finish up, and Liam looks at his cake and just goes, I don't know if it's cooked. And I like the fact that he's on that deep breath and that pause, but cooked? It's not important, Liam.
No.
It's only what we're here for. Anyway, so
it's not the Great Canadian Combining Ingredients Show.
Apparently it is.
In which case, the baking is optional.
So, Jodie, they said that the cake looked inviting. There was a really good texture.
Yeah.
Kyla said that, you now need to get into the phase where she goes, I love that rhubarb, but you needed to have it swirling through the cake. So she goes, that's the next step you need to get to, but this is really good.
But we also learnt from Jodie that your rhubarb's good when you get dimples.
There you go. I didn't know anything about that, so
No.
it's impressive.
Like Jodie's dimples. They're pretty awesome.
Jasmine. So Jasmine's was appealing. They said it was moist and light. They said the fruit was really good and it was balanced incredibly well.
Well done, Jasmine.
I was very proud of Jasmine in this episode.
I feel like her auntie. We're her Aussie auntie and uncle.
And it was very impressive. It was really impressive to watch her. And it was so nice at the end just to see how happy she was to watch the Star Baker, which we'll come to in a minute. Chris, now they said it was good detail work and the flavours were really beautiful, but the cake itself was a bit dry. Collins, they said it looked like an even bake. They said it was really tasty, but the texture was kind of not quite there. They said Natalia's, the cake looked beautiful and was tasty, but it was really a wet cake. And what was good, what I like about having Bruno and Kyla in there is that they're really good with the way they explain it. Because what they said to her was, they said, right, the problem was you baked it at a temperature that was far too high.
You're absolutely spot on. That's what I'm really loving about these judges is that they're just objective in what they're saying is right or wrong about the cake. There's no I'm not saying other bake-off shows go overboard. I'm just saying that they're very clear about communicating what they appreciated and what they didn't appreciate in those bakes.
Yeah, what I really loved about this was they said, and it wasn't just a case of, this is what was wrong with it. Like Bruno and Kyla both said the same thing, which was so what you've got to remember is when you do a cake at a really high temperature, it doesn't necessarily cook all the way through evenly. It should be at a lower temperature. And Natalia was like, yeah, you learn something every day.
Beautiful.
Jay, they said it had a really good retro look, and it did. It looked incredible.
Yes, she was so full.
And they thought the bacon distribution was great, and they were so excited, and they cut into it, and they started to lift it.
You know.
And the front half of the cake didn't move.
Now, this contradicts what was put out last night, that ooze get the ooze.
It doesn't indeed, no. In this case, it ooze didn't get the ooh. Ooze got the
Wrong kind of
Wrong kind of reaction there. You need to pay more attention to our podcast, Jay. Liam, they said the presentation was amazing and the pear cut perfectly.
Oh, good job, Liam.
It was a really good bake. The flavours are perfectly mixed and those pears are well poached. And nobody was more surprised than Liam, who said, I didn't think it was baked. Liam thought he hadn't baked it properly.
He's like, I'm totally going home.
It was amazing. All right, so we now move on to the technical. Now, the technical is where this episode started to get amazing.
It was glorious.
Because I'm not going to lie, I thought the first part of this episode was a bit bland. And I'm like, okay, so it's going to be one of those. No, I thought it was a bit bland. But then we got to the creme caramel, and from that moment on, this episode moved into a great, great episode. So I've literally taken a photo because I wasn't going to type this out.
No.
These are the instructions they were given. Creme caramel, serve 6. They got the instructions. They got the ingredients for the caramel. They got the ingredients for the custard. But can I just point out? Yeah. So they got the ingredients for the custard and the ingredients for the caramel.
Yep. You get your ingredients list. Check.
Heat oven to 350.
Yep. That's the correct thing that you'd have in a recipe.
For the caramel.
Okay. This is the method.
Make the caramel. Pour it into the bottom of a ramekin.
Whoa.
For the custard.
Yes.
Make a custard base. Pour the custard base over the caramel in the ramekins. Gently bake in a water bath until just set. Let cool for 15 minutes in the freezer before inverting onto the serving plate.
So what we can see here is Great Canadian Baking Show going full Great Canadian Baking Show.
It does it better than anyone. Like most of the others, they will maybe give you one or two things missing if they do it. Sometimes they give you, most of the time they give you all of it, but sometimes they leave like one step out of the process or the method. Not in Canada.
No.
In Canada, it's work this shit out.
It's like if you don't know what a custard is, what are you even baking?
So the caramel.
Yes.
Now, the caramel is the first part, and Colin had a really good way of summarising it, which was if you yell at it the wrong way or touch it, it'll crystallise. Everyone, I've never seen people focusing so hard on not burning something.
Not burning.
Everyone.
Not crystallising.
Everyone was
not looking at it the wrong way. Not insulting its mother by burning in the wrong direction.
They also pointed out the coating needed to be even on the ramekin before the caramel set. Like you can't have it lopsided. And before we get to the custard, they then went out and they talked about the creme caramel and they were like, this brings me back to my early days of culinary school, and they were talking about it. I am a bandit for a creme caramel.
Aren't you just?
I really like the store-bought trashy style creme caramels.
Totally your thing.
I am a complete... This goes back to... It was one of the things that my grandmother used to get for us for dessert. Like, it's one of the reasons why.
That's nice.
So they do the... I don't know if they've got the same ones in Canada, but here there's ones in there they're in like these white cups with the little tabs on the bottom of them, and you get them out of the fridge section and you peel the foil off the top, you invert it onto the bowl and you flick the tab.
It really was the height of elegance back in the 80s.
It really was. And yeah,
particularly like with the creme caramel.
Yeah, creme caramel. And
the what's that thing called? Ad on television.
Yeah, the ad used to have it all the time. But it was because there was the ones that are still around today, and the other one, the ad was for the White Wings creme caramel. But my grandmother, that was one of the things we used to have all the time as a dessert at her place. And for us, it was the height. Absolute. It and Viennetta were the two heights of like, this is the top end of desserts.
I don't think I ever got a dessert at any of my grandparents' houses.
At my grandmother's, it would be creme caramel or it would be ice cream with fruit.
Oh.
And the ice cream was always blue ribbon white.
Oh, yes, could have the blue ribbon.
We had to. My grandmother was that was very much my grandmother.
Kicking it old school.
She was a David Jones woman, you know. Anyway.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, Colin then explained the custard to Aurora. And what I loved about this was Aurora's nodding like she understood a word he was saying. She's like, you got to do this, and if you do this, and you got to do this and this, and she's like, mm-hmm.
And in her head, you can just see clowns. I'm going to clown school.
Then we got the jiggle montage. So everybody is trying to explain what they're looking for in terms of jiggle and wobble. And, of course, Colin summed it up perfectly.
What would Beyonce do?
How much jiggle is too much jiggle? Beyonce would say, you can never have too much jiggle. But the others were all talking about the idea of how much jiggle and wobble, and they were trying to work it out. Then they put them in, and Jasmine looked and she said, I'm far too stressed to drink the coffee that I made. My question is that a thing?
Listen, mister, I have to have 4 coffees in order to come out of torpor of a morning.
I had 5 today.
Yes. A slow day.
It was a slow day for me.
I guess you didn't have to deal with students, so
I haven't had one since 4:30.
Jesus Christ, how are you up?
I was going to make one before.
Of course, just your bedtime coffee.
And again,
settle you down for
those at home who are planning on taking my coffee order at some point, and why wouldn't you be? Black like my heart, no sugar.
Yeah, Jodie's a massive coffee fan. I found out.
Yeah,
she loves her barista. She saw her barista.
I saw that. Yes.
Sorry, Jodie, I'm going to tell you a bit of personal stuff. But she saw her barista in real life, like outside of the coffee shop, and she went up and hugged her.
I've done the same thing. I have, in fact, this is a genuine story. At the place I worked previously, there was a barista who they learned to make my order without me asking. It's great. And this barista used to make my order all the time. And then I moved places of employment, and I went to a cake and coffee shop, which was really close to where Christy works.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the counter, and the barista from there is now working in this place. She saw me and went, I was wondering what happened to you. Blah, 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 blah. I'll make you coffee. Long black, yeah, cool. Makes the coffee instantly, automatically.
Nice.
And she works like 30 seconds from your work now. So, so like she knew my coffee order. I walked past, she goes, I know what I'm making you.
Oh, that's lovely.
In our local cafe, when we walk in there, if I actually have to make an order, I get really disappointed. Because they know me by now. They just automatically pour my coffee.
You just start playing the Simply Red song. If you don't know my coffee by now.
But it's important that you have to have a relationship with a barista.
Yeah.
It's the most important relationship you can have.
I'm starting to develop a relationship with my baristas at the local coffee shop. They're all lovely. I'm going to learn them by name because they know me by name, which is really strange. I felt a little creeped out. Yeah, well, they knew my colleague very, very well.
Do they greet you with the word Felchik?
Not yet.
They will.
I will work on that.
They will. So I'm a bit staggered. I'm a bit staggered with the idea that Jasmine was too stressed to drink coffee. I wasn't aware you could be. I loved Liam because he was really honest. He's always really honest, Liam. And he looked at his creme caramels and he looks at me and goes, "These aren't good at all."
No.
Jasmine was so stressed that she decided that they weren't going to cook in time. So she made the decision to not put them in the freezer at all and just leave them in the oven.
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Look, as it turned out, the technical did not matter in any way, shape or form. There is a reason the technical didn't matter. We're about to get there. So Liam goes, I don't want to lift them. Now, I listed the collapses. I started listing the collapses, and then it just got easier to list the ones that didn't.
Yeah.
So I started off by listing that poor Jay's collapsed. Natalia's first one went flat. The caramel crystallised, and Natalia's went, fuck that for a joke.
I'm keeping them in the ramekins.
Jodie's fell, and Liam's didn't fall so much as become one giant puddle.
They became mecha creme caramel.
They did. Colin, I wrote down before we even got to the judging, Colin wins the technical by default. The 2 sweetest words in the English language. If
you were in Australia, we'd say you Bradbury that. And if you don't know who Stephen Bradbury is...
the Canadians should because,
the Winter Olympics.
Winter Olympics. Stephen Bradbury. Finally, an Australian sporting reference Canadians might get.
So, Winter Olympics was at 2000...
It was in Canada.
14?
It was the Vancouver Winter Olympics.
Oh, so they probably know Stephen Bradbury. So the dude... who it was not once but twice.
And he did it in the semi-final.
Yep.
Everyone fell over in front of him.
And he got through.
And then in the gold medal race, a bunch of guys bumped into each other, and every single person in the race took themselves out. And Stephen Bradbury, who was last by a long way, won the gold medal.
Exactly. Now, what makes it even better is that this year he went on Australian Survivor. It was champions versus contenders. And he was there going, he's obviously done a lot of therapy because he's now like Homer Simpson. You look up.
Did anyone say perfect game?
You look up doing a Bradbury in the Urban Dictionary and you will see his face.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
But he was trying to point out that Bradbury actually meant working hard and courage and determination. And he went home first. So, nobody was prepared to let everyone else fall over in front of him. They just got rid of him. So, all right, now, speaking of laughter.
Yes.
The judges walked back in. I've never seen the pavilion quite like it. For that matter, I've never seen a reaction like that in the shed or the tent. It was just Kyla was trying to keep a very professional, straight face. When they cut to the bakers, what I really loved was they were all sort of sniggering a little bit. Jodie was just about dead. And then you cut back to Bruno, who walks in and is just dying of laughter. And he just looks at them and goes, "Bakers? Really?"
It was like a disbelief more than disappointment. Just
my favourite feedback that was given was at the very end when they were doing the numbers and doing the ratings, and Kyla gets to Colin at the end and goes, "Colin, with proof that this can actually be made on time," is first. So, Jasmine's, they said, were cooked far too late.
Yeah.
Colin, someone rose to the occasion. They jiggled so they were baked. Liam, we didn't need spoons, we needed straws.
He was making it.
They did say it tasted like custard, so...
there's a bonus.
Chris, they said there were 3.5, almost 4 that were fairly set. The flavour was actually quite good of the ones that had set. Natalia, they went with non-traditional presentation. Before pointing out that she clearly tried one and it hadn't worked.
She's like, "I'm not doing the rest."
And they said her custard was scrambled as well, which was a problem. Jay, they said the texture was grainy and the caramel was too dark and it was really eggy.
And acidic.
Don't want that.
Word.
Jodie, they said the caramel was absolutely perfect.
Acrid. That's...
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay. Hold on. Let me just stretch that wound over and rub the salt in, shall I? They said it was acrid.
You rub that salt in there, or that acid in there, as the point may be. Jodie, they said the caramel's perfect, but the middle, unfortunately, was soup. That's a bit of a problem. So in the judging... Natalia came 7th, predominantly because they said one of the conditions they actually had, and that was why I read the instructions out, was you did have to invert them on the plate.
Yes.
So because she didn't do that, 7th. 6th was Jay. 5th was Liam.
Because overcooked is worse than undercooked.
Yeah. Jodie was 4th. Jasmine was 3rd. Chris was 2nd, and Colin, the only person who managed to serve an entire tray of 6-crumb caramel, first.
The Stephen Bradbury of the pavilion.
So we get to the showstopper, and the showstopper was an extra large celebration slab cake, 3.5 hours, and you must have piped a message. So
I really hoped they were giving messages like at Costco.
Well, the first thing I think of when I see slab cake is Costco.
Yeah.
Because it's the only time the only time in Australia we ever really see the slab is when we go to Costco.
Because what are our go-tos for party cakes in Australia? You got the Pav.
Pavlova is usually the... Look, if you are in Australia and you don't know what to get someone for a party, get a Pavlova.
Yep. Mud cake.
Mud cakes
from
are
Woolies or a caramel mud cake.
They're what are they? $10?
$10. That's the usual. That's the office party cake.
Everyone, yeah.
If you want to be funky and old school, ice cream cake, the Freddo ice cream cake.
Oh, I have had...
Or the party time.
I have had, in my adult life, I have had more Freddo ice cream cakes than I have had any other type of cake for my birthday.
How cool would it be to go back in time to your 5-year-old self and go, "Don't worry, Do you know how many ice cream cakes are in your future?
Oh, there are lots. They're incredible. And here at McDonald's, when you're a child growing up, they do the ice cream party birthday cake.
Yeah.
And that's always what they do. So people used to get their birthdays at McDonald's simply so they could get the ice cream cake. Not realising there was a freezer section in the supermarket that sold the ice cream cake.
My greatest glory, because I had a really traumatic experience working for McDonald's, as I'm sure most young people have. My greatest glory was the day that I was allowed to run the kids' party room.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I just killed that.
I bet you did.
I almost put the crew chief who usually did it out of a job doing the parties because I got raved about, and then I got fired not long after. I quit, actually, because they were assholes.
Anyway, Jay.
But I rocked that party. Yeah.
So Jay's measuring unit was shoot.
And how much is an eep shoot? A little more than a cup.
According, it's a bit less than Chris's butter hoard. 4 pounds, and he forgot it.
There is no room. I honestly, I turned to you, Chris, and I've gone, where is the mixing part going to go? There's no room in that bowl to physically put the mixer in.
The better question was, with all that butter, you turned around to me and said, where is he going to put the candle? Now, it was like, again, it
forgot
4 pounds of butter, and then he had to take the cake out because he forgot to put a single piece of butter into the cake. Did he think that it was a decoration? Was he so dazzled by the height and the density of the butter that he just sort of, it became part of his being for a moment there, and he just didn't feel like putting it in the... I don't understand.
Was the butter a rogue?
Betty bought some bit of butter. Yeah, Betty bought some bit of butter. Was the bit of butter bitter? Betty says no.
Betty says
we say yes. Betty is hoisted by her own butter. Anyway, Colin looked at the 4 pounds
and went, hold my beer.
And went, hold my 9 cups of sugar. 9 cups of sugar. Holy shit.
It is a slab cake.
I know it's a slab cake. It was for his mother's retirement cake. Was he trying to put her into a sugar coma?
Yes.
Happy retirement, pass out for a month.
I'd like my inheritance early. Guess he's got power of attorney.
It was a chocolate tiramisu cake.
Mum's condo, here I come.
No, it's Canada. It'd be Mum's cottage. Anyway, chocolate tiramisu cake. Now, Natalia, the happy birthday cake with the roses for her mother-in-law. Great idea.
God.
The colouring on the outside, incredible. It's a spinach cake.
Her mother-in-law's Popeye. And which went along with Colin's olive oil.
Ba-dum-ching! So, yeah, I forgot to mention that Colin decided to make another olive oil cake. And he said, whenever you make an olive oil cake, people think it's great and fancy because, like, you've done an olive oil cake, but in reality, you've just swapped out one ingredient. And in my head, I'm going, Bruno won't appreciate this.
Nah.
Bruno's a Frenchman.
He can taste olive oil from a mile.
And sure enough, when it came to the judging, Bruno could taste there was no butter. Natalia, the spinach cake. Now, I'm happy in one sense. When I saw the montage at the start of the episode, I thought we had a slab marcher.
And you're happy that it was just spinach.
I'm happy that it just ended up being a slab spinach cake, which apparently was delicious. Anyway,
I'd love to see her children in future years when it's like, Mum's cooked a cake and all the kids at school like, yay!
Spinach. Oh.
And then they eat it and they're like, yay!
All right.
Mum, can I have a spinach cake too? And this poor mother, who is not Natalia, is like, how the fuck am I going to make a spinach cake?
What I liked about Chris's, by the way...
They just make a cob loaf and then the kid's like, my mum's way better than your mum.
You and your cob loaves. What I love was that Chris, after all that, when we said about forgetting the butter, the next thing they did was show what Chris's cake design was, which was a we did it cake.
Unfortunately, they may graduate, but the cake isn't quite a metaphor for that journey.
The cake is going to be very dry. Incredibly dry. So now here's the problem.
Very banana-y.
Here's the problem. I wrote what Chris did, and what I wrote was chocolate banana slab cake with creme patisserie filling and a million other things that there is no chance he'll get to.
And you were right.
That's what I wrote at the time. Chris needs to dial it back.
He watched too much Flora in the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen that, in Canada you possibly haven't because the way that series are run over there are bizarre. Flora from Great British Bake Off a few seasons ago used to go in and she'd start making, like, they had to do a cake challenge, so she decided she'd top it off with
600 macarons,
4 dozen profiteroles,
maybe,
and like she'd maybe end up making a basic vanilla cake, but like do all this sugar work and like a croquembouche in the corner, and they're like, we're not judging any of that.
We're just after that cake.
We just want the cake over there. But I've almost finished recreating the entirety of the Reformation in gingerbread. Well, that's great, but this is a vanilla cake challenge. It's like, but the Reformation. Look, you can see the Pope. Anyway, Jodie then with one of the most appropriate Bake Off quotes ever.
Yeah.
Can you use too much butter? Bruno says no. My doctor says yes.
I'd like just the first part of that on a T-shirt. Can you use too much butter?
Bruno says no. Oh, what I want.
And then on the back, my doctor says yes.
But what I want, or you could do, can you use too much butter? ? And on the back, Bruno's head going no.
Cool.
Marketing, get it out there. You're welcome to it. Colin, however, managed to somehow, because he had...
Is that what we're saying about Jodie's? Are we going to say how awesome... We're going to... Okay,
We're coming back. We're coming
back.
back.
All right, come back, okay.
Colin,
back.
Colin, then obviously being around Chris's bench, managed to somehow get butter in his armpit, which was interesting because he was using oil, so that was fascinating that he still got butter in his armpit. Anyway, Jasmine.
Yes.
Jasmine made a graduation cake with a bottle of Moscato in it, and... I don't really give a shit what else was in there. To be honest with you, I didn't make any other notes. I didn't pay any other attention. I didn't worry about any of that. I just worried about the fact that there was a bottle of Moscato,
and it was amazing. And I liked how it was a toast to her, like the graduation class. Get it? Because there's Moscato. It's coming up to Moscato season here in Australia.
It is.
It's starting to warm up. I mean, it snowed today. Yes, it does snow in Australia. And I got my dad, what's it called? His take on it, because he lives up.
He does live where it snows.
He lives where it snows, and he's like, Christy, I came out of the movies. I'm like, did you, Dad? It's like, yeah. And he goes, I thought it'd been raining because his car was just pouring water off it. I'm like, oh, that's great, because we're in drought too here in Australia. I'm like, great. He goes, no rain, Christy, just snow. I'm like, well, why is it pouring water? He goes, oh, it was the snow melting from the car, because Australia.
Yeah. Now, what I loved about Jasmine was she was the only baker that did not practice.
Yeah.
And she didn't practice because the apartment that she lived in was too small to hold the cake.
Oh, no, Jasmine. Oh, hon, that sucks.
So... Jay. Now Jay made his rainbow pride slab. Raspberry whipped cream filling, buttercream rainbow. It looked incredible.
Yeah.
And he talked about obviously the importance of pride, which led to high fives all around, and Jay having to apologise for being a little buttery.
Look, I want buttery high fives from Jay. That would be awesome.
Everyone wants buttery high fives from Jay.
If we could make our own Mardi Gras float, it would just be like rainbow cakes, and we'd all be giving buttery high fives to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to set the next.
From my perspective, buttery by fives.
Well done. Well done. All right. So I'm just going to set this up and walk away from it and let Christy have her fun.
Okay.
Liam. Now, Liam was making antlers. Now, why was Liam making antlers, Christy?
Initially, I thought, oh my God, he's a fawn, because he's a fawn making antlers. But no, it was even better than I could ever have, imagined, because he was making them for Grace. And Grace, she's a caribou. And not only is she a caribou, this cake is dedicated to her.
So we're like, okay, because we were there going, all right, so, okay, he's making a caribou cake.
I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's pregnant. She's going to have like her first baby. And he's like, go, Grace.
I had to rewind it because I couldn't work out at first we were too busy, to be honest with you. We were too busy commenting on the fact that he was making the cake for the caribou. And then we find out because she's an endangered species and he's wishing her luck. Because the actual writing on it was
2019.
The writing on it was, you got this.
Got this. And
I'm like, what does she got?
And I'm like, it's a don't go extinct cake.
I hope you don't go extinct cake.
Which is so 2019. Like all this week in Sydney and Australia, there's been like Extinction Rebellion protests going on, and more power to them. And, I just feel that this is going to become a thing in the world.
We give animals
climate change.
We give animals cakes apologising for their extinction.
Yeah, like
this is the ballad of Grace the Caribou, as told in Slab Cake.
But I like how Liam's like, I'm going to try and use my powers so that if her environment, like her habitat does, disintegrate and she's not able to survive, he can make cake-based lichen for her to eat.
I mean, he did. That was the thing. He made, as he said, I'm trying.
Do you know that's why it's called lichen? Because they saw caribou licking it, and then the scientists went, "No, we can't call it lichen.
Licken's going to call it lichen."
Yeah.
I did enjoy where they said,
Latin for lichen.
I'm trying to recreate their habitat. I'm not very cool.
You're cool.
And Colin jumped in and was like, no, you're really cool. This is really awesome.
It is because, after Greta Thunberg's speech, everyone's about this, apart from the dickheads who think that there's no climate change.
So Grace...
good. Like the Australian PM, Scummo, who's a fucking moron.
Anyway, Grace the Caribou.
I'll save that for my ranty podcast.
Save that for the ranty podcast. Yeah. But Grace the Caribou is legendary now. I love that he names. I love that he names everything. First of all, it's great.
Oh.
Secondly, there is said the video up on our Instagram was the tail end of the laughter. That was nothing. We took that long to get under control. I reckon I had that paused for a good 4 minutes.
Yes, I had laughed so hard. When I laugh and something's so funny, I will go dizzy and almost pass out. It's fantastic. It's like doing nitrous. Not that I know that and endorse.
You're a former nurse. Anyway. So Jodie.
Yes.
Now, poor Jodie had to follow that.
And hers is beautiful.
It's a beautiful sweetheart cake for her 10th anniversary.
Yeah, and I meant to memorise what the I love you, my husband.
We can talk to Jodie about that hopefully later. But again,
rewatch the show.
But again, it was absolutely beautiful. She wrote it in 2 languages. She wrote it in her native tongue, and then happy 10th anniversary in English as well. So it was really lovely. Raspberry and vanilla, and she decided to use fresh raspberries in the middle layer
beautiful.
Too, which, as Bruno did come to say, was genius.
Yeah. And it looked gorgeous. Like it really, to me, epitomised what a slab cake is about, which is about something simple.
Her piping is incredible.
Oh, my God. Just a little bit special.
So,
yeah.
Her piping is impressive. Liam's piping...
It had gusto.
Verve, gusto.
It really showed how much he's rooting for Grace the Caribou.
It showed that he's definitely putting something on the cake. It was dangling like lichen insofar as it really had no rhyme or reason.
I mean...
But I love that Liam just goes, piping's not my forte.
I'm also down... Colin's piping.
I love Colin's
piping. Really is like us all when we're trying to write something, when we're doing our garage sale signs or whatever, and we've decided to go old school.
You start big. And you get towards the end, you go, oh shit, I've got less space than letters.
And it really does look like you're having a garage sale.
It's the garage sales. Yeah, the garage sale signs are great. He started happy retirement. And he got halfway through retirement and suddenly realised he was out of room, and it was really fast.
Yeah.
And as he said, it's coming off the side of the cake and into retirement.
Yes, it's running away eager to get out.
And the last thing I'll just notice here is that when they were putting them all together, all I could think of was Costco, the massive assembly, and Jodie getting that first bit in place and dropping it. The other thing that it felt like was Raiders of the Lost Ark when they used the pry bars to pry the thing up and throw the thing to one side. That's all I could think of. Literally the moving of a slab. So the judging, Jodie, they said the height was absolutely exactly what they were after in one of these cakes.
Yeah.
The piping and roses were great. The sponge was absolutely perfect, and the fresh raspberries were a great call.
Excellent.
Colin. Bruno looks at him and goes, so there's no butter at all in this? And Colin goes, no. And Bruno goes, yeah, okay. Dry. Bruno was waiting. He knew. Chris's was hard to cut. The decoration wasn't good because Chris ran out of time. So he made his cake, he did a bit of piping around the outside and then just really quickly in white icing just sort of drew on it. It wasn't, he was going to make all this other stuff and he just, no time.
Because nothing says this will happen quickly than chopping up a whole heap of bananas.
Yeah, well, the other thing they said was that the chunks of banana really hurt the structure because they're like, you've got entire slices of banana in there.
Just mash it up.
You should have mashed it up because it would be, the consistency would be better.
I love mashy banana on toast. Oh, you don't like banana at all.
No, I don't like banana at all.
You're not a fan of banana.
No. Natalia, the flavour, the fusion of colours outside of the cake were amazing. Beautiful. And they said, and the colour inside with the green was really impressive. And Bruno absolutely loved it.
Kermit would have to do a double take and make sure that his offspring aren't in there.
He would have. Liam. Kyla just looked at him and went, this cake is so you. They said the carrot cake was really moist. They said it was delicious, but it needed more of the filling in between the layers. Yeah. They said he was just too thin.
And the antlers needed less gravity.
Yeah, she's like, you really put a lot into these antlers and they didn't deliver for you. And he's like, no, they didn't. Jay, they said it was really colourful. He put sprinkles through his sponge and they said the sprinkles worked really well and it looked great. And then they took a bite. And unfortunately, Jay decided that he was going to go with egg white only. And as Bruno said to him, he said the problem is when you do egg white only, there's no flavour in the cake because the egg white doesn't carry the flavour. That's what the yolk's there for. And he said that the problem was that you then needed to have the cream in the middle needed to be really good.
Yeah.
And the filling was far too simple and there were a lot of air bubbles because of the egg whites.
Bugger.
Which Jay was already on very thin ice to start with. That was
skating on thin ice.
Jasmine, the cake looked amazing, and Kyla really loved those decorations.
Yeah.
Bruno wouldn't stop eating the damn cake.
No, you just saw him okay, I'm supposed to be juggling this, and it's going into my face. And
So the star baker was Jasmine.
Oh, so well deserved.
God, we were deliriously happy for Jasmine.
Yes.
And then going home, unfortunately, was Jay.
That broke my heart. I love watching Jay. He's just fun.
Jay is awesome, and who knows, in the near future we might be hearing a bit more from Jay.
I really hope so.
We don't know for sure, but who knows? Anything can happen, especially on this podcast.
Yeah.
But before we go,
boogity boogada.
Before we go anywhere,
anything.
Before we go anywhere.
Oh yes.
Something very important that we have to discuss.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's probably the most pressing thing, in fact, that we have to discuss.
Please, what must we discuss?
What must we discuss?
I already know, but
that you already know, but you want me to actually introduce to people? Are you looking for a quality magazine?
Because if you're not, you are now.
You are now. It's focused on cake decorating and sugar art. Well, that would be Australian Sugarcraft, and it is the magazine for you.
And here to talk about that, I'd like to welcome all the way from Canada, Grace the Caribou!
Oh, wow, it's Grace! It's great, Grace.
Hello, I'm Grace the Caribou. How do you do? See, that rhymed. I like making rhymes all the times. But I'm not here to rhyme for you. I'm here to tell you how me and my friend Liam came to look at how to create awesome antlers out of sugar crafting stuff. You know, we found Australian Sugarcraft magazine, and that's how I got this Australian accent. Because I'm a caribou and usually I sound Canadian. Anyway, what I want to tell you is that Australian Sugarcraft magazine is a full-colour digital magazine with step-by-step tutorials, recipes, tips, and ideas. Subscription is an annual annual cost of $19.90 Australian, which is a steal for us in Canada, receiving 2 issues per year. So you can go to facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft, and that's where you go to get this awesome thing.
Bye, Grace.
Goodbye. I'm going back to my magical friend Liam.
Oh my God, Grace the Caribou.
I told you I get all the stars.
I don't know how you do it.
I said to Meryl Streep, I can't do it tonight. I've got someone even better than you.
Oh, poor Meryl.
She understood. She's a big fan of Grace.
She loves Grace?
She loves Grace. Everyone loves Grace.
Everyone loves Grace. We all love Grace. We hope Grace survives. So
May you and your kind not go extinct, Grace.
hopefully the cake gives you the message, Grace, to not go extinct.
Just ignore all the human factors going on and the climate changing going
And
on around
listen
you.
to the cake. You got this.
You got this.
You got this. All right.
Evolution.
So until next week, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Christy.
And we will catch you all later.
Oh, goodbye, everyone.